Was bored. He was tired of his long and lonely life. He no longer liked his dark and gloomy kingdom. He had no friends there. He only had an army of attendants. Although he was the god of death, he wanted to enjoy life. He longed for a change. One day, Yama looked at the earth. It was bright and sunny. It was springtime, and there were flowers of all colors everywhere. Everyone on earth seemed to be happy. Then he noticed a young woman, a strong and beautiful young woman. She was having a fight with a big man. She would not give in. And at last, the big man ran away, admitting that she had defeated him. "That is the girl for me," Yama said to himself. "I like her, and I wish to have her as my wife." But he did not know how to get her. If he sent his attendants, they would bring her to him dead. Yama found that the only way was for him to go to Earth as a human being and ask the woman to marry him. So Yama went to Earth. He was no longer the terrible god of death, but a handsome young man. He found the woman he desired and soon married her. Yama and his wife, Lata, liked each other, and they lived together happily for many years. Then a son was born to them. Lata devoted all her time to looking after the baby. Now she did not care so much for her husband. She began to demand from him various things she or the child wanted. Yama tried his best to give her what she needed, but Lata was not satisfied. She found fault with him. Then she began nagging him. She complained that Yama no longer helped her. As time passed, she nagged him more and more, and matters grew worse and worse. And now Lata was aging quickly, while Yama remained as young and handsome as on the day they were married. Yama did not have very much money. Household expenses were rising, but very little money was received from his land and property. Lata wanted her husband to be richer so that they could be more comfortable. So, in order to earn more money, Yama began practicing as a doctor. He made various kinds of pills and sold them to people who were ill. In a short time, he was doing very well in his profession. But there was no change in Lata. Her nagging only increased. She became such a terror to Yama that at the very sound of her voice, he ran away or hid himself. Yama now felt that his life in the dark and dull world was better than life on Earth. And one day, he disappeared from this world. Yama's disappearance did not worry Lata much. She had enough to do looking after her son, Yamakumar. She petted him so much that he became a spoiled child. He was lazy and careless, and he grew up into an utterly useless young man. He had not learned anything. He did not know how to work and earn money. Then he thought of his father's profession. He found all the pills which the father had made and started selling these pills to make a living. Often, Yamakumar thought of his father and wondered what had happened to him and where he had gone. One night, his father appeared to him in a dream. "Son," his father said in the dream, "you can continue your profession as a doctor. You will make a good living. But take my advice. Whenever you go to see a patient, look first towards the head of the bed. If you happen to see me sitting there, then don't take up the case. You will know that the patient is sure to die. Of course, I shall be visible only to you. On the other hand, if you do not see me, start your treatment. The patient will soon be well." Yamakumar woke up with a start. It was a strange dream, but he believed in it. He decided to follow the advice his father had given him in his sleep. Yamakumar continued his practice as a doctor. He made all kinds of pills with all kinds of things, and he treated all diseases. But he was careful to look first at the head of the bed. If his father was not sitting there, then he would agree to treat the patient. People noticed that every sick person treated by Yamakumar soon got well. If he refused to treat a patient, they knew that the case was hopeless. The patient would die. One day, the king's only daughter fell seriously ill. The king's doctors were unable to cure her. Experts from all over the country were consulted, but no one could find a remedy. The king feared that his beloved daughter would die. Then someone mentioned the name of Yamakumar. The king sent for him. When Yamakumar went to see the patient, he looked first towards the head of the bed. There sat Yama, his father. Yamakumar sent everyone out of the room. He then said to his father, "Father, this is the greatest chance of my life. If I cure the king's daughter, I shall be rich and famous. You must help me by going away. Please, leave the patient alone." "No, my son," said Yama. "Ask me for something else. I must take the princess away. She has to die. Neither you nor I can change her fate." Yamakumar begged his father to go away and thus save the girl's life. But Yama would not agree. Yamakumar begged over and over again. At last, Yama said that he could let her live for 3 more days. He then disappeared. Yamakumar was very sad. He told the king that the case was very serious. After 3 days, he would be able to say definitely if the patient would get better. In the meantime, he would stay and treat the princess. Yamakumar sat in the room and watched the patient. Her condition only grew worse. She became more pale and was unable to move. She could not even open her eyes. There was nothing Yamakumar could do. He waited for his father to come again. After 3 days, Yama appeared. He looked at his son with pity. He was sorry he could not help him. Yamakumar saw his father. He thought and thought how he could get the life of the princess back from Yama. Suddenly, he had an idea, and he decided to try it. He looked around and said, "Mother, why are you so late? Come along, father is here." Yama went pale. He was frightened. He did not wait for another second. Fate or no fate, whatever happened, he had to escape. He fled away from Earth. The 3 days were over. The princess opened her eyes. Yamakumar knew that he had won. His father would not dare to come back. The life of the princess was saved. Yamakumar gave her some pills and sent word to the king that his daughter would live. The princess made a rapid recovery, and very soon she was fully cured. The king and queen were overjoyed. They were so grateful to Yamakumar that they gave him their daughter in marriage, and they all lived happily ever after. Far, far away, in a village in Assam, India, there lived a farmer who was very poor. He had a wife whose name was Sujata, and they had 7 sons. The farmer and his wife worked very hard to support their family. Every day, from morning till evening, the farmer worked in his field. Sujata looked after the home. She swept the house, fetched water from the river, gathered firewood in the jungle, and cooked food for the family. But the 7 sons were the laziest young men ever born in this world. They did nothing at all to help either their mother or their father, although the family was so poor. This mother very sad, and she prayed to God for help. "Oh God, give me another son," Sujata prayed, "a son who will be of help to us." The people of the village said that her next child would certainly be a lucky child. The farmer and his wife felt sure that they would get a son who would be different from the 7 they had. But when the next baby was born, alas, it was not an ordinary baby at all. It was a long snake. As soon as the snake was born, it crawled out of the house and disappeared into the jungle. Sujata was very sad that a snake had been born to her, and she was even more sad that the snake had run away. She cried and cried for many days because her luck was so bad. One night, Sujata had a dream. She dreamt that her snake son was lying on her lap and that he said, "Don't be sad about me, mother. I have been born a snake because of a curse." "What curse?" she asked him. "I was a very rich man," he replied, "and I had stored up a lot of gold. I did not give anything to anyone, not even to my mother. She died for want of food when I had plenty of money hidden away. It was because I committed this great sin that I was born as a snake. Now I shall pay for my wickedness by giving you every day 1 inch of gold." "1 inch of gold? How?" asked Sujata. "Every day," said the snake, "I shall come to the house for a cup of milk, and when I have drunk it, you must cut off 1 inch of my tail. It will turn into gold." "But it will hurt you, my child," cried Sujata. "No, mother," said the snake, "it will not do me any harm." The dream was over. The woman got up and looked to see if the snake was in the room, but it was not anywhere there. Still, she believed in the dream. She knew it would come true. The next morning, she placed a cup of milk on the floor of her room and waited patiently for the snake to come. Soon, the snake came in and he drank up all the milk. He then looked at his mother. Sujata knew that the snake was asking her to cut off 1 inch of his tail. Her hand trembled as she held the knife, but she remembered her dream and quickly cut 1 inch off the snake's tail. The piece immediately turned into gold. The snake then went away and disappeared into the jungle. From that day onwards, the snake went to the house every morning. First, he drank the milk, and then Sujata cut 1 inch off his tail. Now the family was no longer poor. They had enough to eat and good clothes to wear. The 7 sons began to enjoy themselves. they began to spend money freely. They spent more and more, and soon they found that the share they received out of the 1 inch of gold was not enough for them. "We want more money," they said to their mother. "We get 1 inch of gold every day," Sujata replied. "We must make do with what we have." The eldest boy said, "I am sure our snake brother would not mind if you were to cut off more than 1 inch of his tail. He can understand our difficulties, and I am sure he would only be too willing to help us." "No," said Sujata, "I could not possibly take more than 1 inch." But the sons would not give her any peace. Day after day, they pestered her. They argued with her and begged her to take more than 1 inch of the snake's tail, until finally Sujata agreed. "Perhaps it won't do any harm," she thought. The next day, when the snake came, she gave him his milk as usual. Then she took her knife and cut 2 inches off his tail. Immediately, the snake started bleeding, and within a few minutes he was dead. His mother was greatly shocked, and she was plunged into deep sorrow. Her 7 sons came and found her weeping. They took the 2 inches of tail which had been cut off, but they found that it had not turned into gold. "Alas," they cried, "we have no gold, and the snake is dead." Then they too all began to weep.
Mahavir. India has given birth to 2 great religions of the world, Jainism and Buddhism. Mahavir is given the credit to bring Jainism into prominence, while Buddha is the founder of Buddhism. Mahavir was a Tirthankar, or a great sage. Tirtha means pilgrimage, and Tirthankars are those who take pilgrimage for the advancement of spirituality and achieve enlightenment. There were many Tirthankars before Mahavir and many after him. Hinduism, on the other hand, existed in India before the recorded history, a Sanatan Dharma, or an everlasting religion. Many academicians believe that these religions, Jainism and Buddhism, emerged out of Hinduism almost at the same time because of the deterioration in the Hindu society due to caste differences and predominance of ritualism. This happened towards the end of Vedic period 1400 BC to 600 BC, when Vedic rituals strongly dominated the society, involving royalties and Brahmins, while the core of religious thoughts of self-purification and self-realization lost their importance. Buddhism is better known over the globe as it spread through the monks, but both the religions practically disappeared from India during the Muslim rule. Hinduism evolved into a more tolerant religion in later years and adopted the underlying philosophies of Upanishads. Jainism propagates the religious teachings of ahimsa, or not to hurt anyone, karma, the results of our action, and nirvana, or the emancipation from the cycle of birth and death. In simpler words, it believes that one should not hurt any living creature, lead a pious life, and thus can attain freedom from the cycle of rebirth. There are approximately 4.2 million jains worldwide, mostly located in the southwestern part of India. The life of Mahavir is fascinating. Let us explore the life of this great saint. About 2,500 years ago, long before the birth of Christ or Muhammad, there lived in Kundagram, near Vaishali in Bihar, state of India, a king called Siddhartha. This happened to be the same name as of Lord Buddha before his enlightenment. He was married to Trishal, sister of Chetak, who was the elected chieftain of Vaishali.